The drug that shrunk my arms will be 50 this year. Ever since I discovered that I was like this because my mum took thalidomide while she was pregnant with me, I've wanted to find out everything I could about it. Long after the drug's dangers were recognised in Britain, a new generation of thalidomide children was discovered in Brazil. Some people even believe that thalidomide victims may still be being born there. In this film, I'm going to go to Brazil to find out if that's true and explore the checkered history of the drug that made me the way I am. Thalidomide is 50 years old this year. It was invented in Germany in 1954. And, you know, we're getting on. Bits are beginning to stop working. Some of us are even dropping off. And I guess in 50 years' time, there won't be any thalidomide people left in the world. We'll be consigned to just being a blip in history. Which I think is pretty sad, actually, because there'll be a whole generation of people growing up who won't know what thalidomide is or was or what it meant. And, you know, they don't know that in our day, if the bad words at school, if you weren't the school spastic, you were the school flid. I mean, you know, we're basically a British institution. We're as British as boiled beef and carrots and the local milkman. And as redundant, probably. Thalidomide was invented in the German pharmaceutical company Chemie Grunenthal by their medical director, Dr. Heinrich Muchter. Dr. Muchter was a Nazi, and during the war experimented on the blood of concentration camp victims in his search for a cure for typhus. So, the perfect choice then for a German post-war state-funded pharmaceutical company's medical director. Thalidomide was going to be the wonder drug. They started selling it as the sleeping pill you couldn't overdose on. Totally non-toxic, they said. It was sold over the counter in Germany for coughs, colds and headaches. Then they discovered it stopped morning sickness. 3 months before I was born, they were still marketing it as completely safe for pregnant women. Take it from me, as a rule of thumb, if something says completely safe, it ain't safe. After all, I have no thumbs. My mother discovered she was pregnant while on tour. She's an actress. And the doctor in the house where she was staying gave her some revolutionary new pills to help her sleep. She didn't know anything was wrong until I came into the world in January 1962.
After he was born, there was a very sort of heavy silence. And I heard somebody say, well, get the cord from around his neck, so obviously he was born with it. And then they just went away and they took him away, and there was this long, long, forever silence. And I thought, oh, he's dead. And nobody's telling me. And I knew that nurses weren't allowed to give you information. I knew the doctor we have to wait till there's a doctor. So I sort of thought, okay, we're waiting for the doctor to come and tell me my baby's dead. And when they finally did come in and this guy said, I'm sorry to tell you, your son has short arms. I said, oh, is that all? I was just so relieved.
Okay.
I smell of wet wool now. Sorry. There was a lot of staring on the streets. And when you were little, I think I did a lot of getting in the way and sort of staring them back and trying to downstare them before anything was said or they came up to be friendly. Or people, when we were in the tube and you were tiny, people used to come up and think they had the right to poke you.
Yeah.
Or giving me money for you.
Oh, how much did you get?
I remember when you went out with a guy for Guy Fawkes when you were about 5, 6 and cleaned up. We had to bring you in off the street. It was so embarrassing how much you were getting, you know.
Oh, brilliant. There were 10,000 of us born worldwide. Not all parents could cope like mine did. Some felt guilt, some revulsion, and some put their kids into homes or up for adoption. The most shocking case for me, though, was from Belgium, where Suzanne Vanderput, having given birth to a daughter Corrine and finding she had no arms, got help from a friendly doctor and killed her. Together with her accomplices, she was put up for trial. Banged to rights, you might think. But no, quite the opposite.
Not guilty. All 5 acquitted. What relief and what a reception they got. Dr. Custer's wife, too full of emotion for any words. The mother herself, she gave her malformed child barbiturates. Now they're free.
In July 1961, reports began to surface that thalidomide was causing extreme fetal abnormalities, but it wasn't until November that the drug companies withdrew it. And for the rest of the 1960s and 70s, the issue of compensation dragged through the courts. In Britain, where the drug was sold by whiskey company distillers, they took 13 long years to finally pay up. And when they did, it was out of court, which meant they never admitted responsibility. They never said sorry. I think they should have gone to prison. So that was that. There's 455 of us in Britain. We've all hit 40. We're artists, social workers, bankers, solicitors. I'm an actor. Thalidomide changed the way we license drugs in this country and changed a whole generation's view of drug safety. I mean, it would never happen again in this country. So, glad we were able to help. But I wonder who's helping the new generation of thalidomide kids in Brazil. You know, take thalidomide people over here. You know, some of us have got, you know, millionaire mansions and 4 cars, but the worst of us still have our own flat and a small kind of, you know, a small car. So I imagine that the difference for thalidomide people in Brazil will be extreme. The rich people will presumably be, to some extent, okay because money buys off problems, and the poor people will be completely, basically, I imagine, I don't know. I'm a bit jet-lagged, I'm sweating like a pig, but what a view. Brazil. Samba girls, carnival, drug wars, destruction of the Amazon, football and plastic surgery. Yeah, whenever you see Rio on the telly, you always get the shot of Sugarloaf Mountain, Christ on the Hill, cut to a thong, and here's something a little bit extra. Weird hand. It's funny though, this is the land of body fascism. It's the country that invented the buttock implant, after all. But people don't stare so much here. They seem to be more accepting. Brazilian people, rich or poor, aren't really fazed by me being a thalidomide victim, having short arms. What really fazes them is when I tell them I'm a vegetarian. Não, obrigado. Sou vegetariano. Sou vegetariano.
Don't eat meat.
No, so vegetariano.
Vegetariano? Oh, that's okay.
Si.
Would you like a fish?
No.
Chicken?
No.
Would you like a jacaré?
A jacaré?
Yes.
Is it an animal?
Yes, animal.
No animals.
Okay, no problem. No animal. That's okay.
Obrigado.
You're free.
Have you got any human flesh?
Yes.
Human flesh.
Human flesh.
You know, human. Man. Flesh of man.
I have one human meat. It's
You have human meat? I'll try some of that.
No problem. 1 minute.
Should be interesting. Okay, time now to meet some fellow thalidomiders. Time to find out what life is really like for them out here. In Britain, thalidomide was withdrawn in 1961. Here in Brazil, it was reintroduced as the treatment for a very different condition, leprosy. Consequently, more thalidomide people have been born. Is life going to be harder for thalidomiders in Brazil?
Hey. Oi, tudo bem?
I'm really curious to meet some of this new generation. Hercules and Bia are friends. He's 19 and she's 22.
This is a meeting place where young people get together to meet up, to look for girlfriends or boyfriends.
Do you find people are okay with you, you know, because we look a bit different?
People are fine with us. There is no problem.
I think I'm normal. I don't mind if people look at me or if they don't. I go my own way. I don't mind what people say or what they think.
Bia and Hercules seem very at ease. Maybe life is different for young thalidomiders in Brazil. We arranged to meet that night at a club. I was hoping they'd have a better time than I did when I was going out at their age. Coming here brings it all back home for me in a way. It makes me remember when I was 18 and how fucked up I was and nervous of everything and in denial of everything. I mean, of course I fancied loads of women and everything, but I didn't get a look in at all, really. I mean, there'd be occasional sensitive alternative thinking, slightly hippie chicks who would go for it, but that would be it. And nobody would want to know, you know, because I was disabled and that was like a shame thing. Okay, I have to ask you this. Do you have sex? Would you have a relationship or have sex with somebody with a disability?
Yes, I would, if I liked the person.
No, good. Because when I was your age, I have to admit that I suffered from... I didn't want to go out with a disabled person. I was ashamed of myself. And it took me a long time, until I was about 30 years old, before I could accept other disabled people as lovers and you know, as a partner. Which is bad because it means I didn't respect myself. Next morning, I called round at Bia's. Bia seems so sorted out as a thalidomider. I wondered how her mum coped, though. I wondered if, like my mother, she'd been able to readily accept life as the mother of a thalidomide child. How did you feel when Bia was born? When you saw her for the first time? How was that?
Eu já estava esperando porque o médico disse que ele explicou para mim que a Thalidomide ela podia provocar atrofiamento nos membros superiores e inferiores.
So when you saw baby Bia for the first time, your little girl, how did you feel?
Quando ela nasceu, que eu vi que ela era uma criança que não era normal, então pensei, eu vou amar mais do que todos.
Next, I went round to Hercules' house. I wondered if his mum had found it as difficult. Well, look at it, it's massive. It's like the poshest house in the street, look. Hercules is only 19, but he owns this house. Brazilian thalidomide victims do get compensation benefits, which by Brazilian standards can make them quite well off. Nice place.
Quarto do Hércules.
Yeah?
Okay.
So, how did you get on last night?
Absolutely wonderful.
Yeah? Did you pull?
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah? Who with?
Uma loirinha.
A blonde girl I met there.
So did you
Logo depois que você
As soon as you left.
Nice work. Nilza, why did you take thalidomide in the first place? I just want to know.
Porque eu tomei a Thalidomide? Porque eu tive ancianias. Eu estava usando.
Why did I take thalidomide? Because I had leprosy. I was using thalidomide to treat leprosy. My husband and I were living in a leprosy colony. My symptoms were severe, so the doctor gave me thalidomide. Soon after, I became pregnant, and I had to fight hard against people who wanted me to have an abortion.
Então eu lutei muito aqui para tirar.
They said he would be born without limbs or with brain damage, that there was no way he would be born normal. They asked if I was prepared to take the risk. I let my pregnancy continue. I gave birth and my son is now 19 years old. I don't regret what I did at all. He's the love of my life.
É o amor da minha vida.
In the West, thalidomide was taken as a sleeping pill and as a cure for a whole raft of minor illnesses. Of course, if we'd never had it in the first place, we'd never have missed it. But in Brazil, it's been used to treat the distressingly painful skin and nerve disease, leprosy. This is an old leprosy hospital. Leprosy has been around for thousands of years, and it's still there. In Brazil, there are 38,000 new cases every year. In 1965, it was found, quite by accident, that thalidomide could cure the agonizing, open, ulcerated sores that can affect leprosy victims. So the pariah drug that had been consigned to the dustbin of history struggled back to life. Hard to believe in thalidomide as a new wonder drug, though. Leprosy isn't an easy disease to contract. You need a severely lowered immune system for a start. But where there's poverty, and there is poverty in Brazil, people's immune systems are likely to suffer. I went to visit Milena, a leprosy sufferer, and she's also taking thalidomide. Could you explain to me what would happen? Could you explain the pain if you stopped taking thalidomide?
Quando eu tenho reação, eu sinto dor.
I used to suffer agonizing pains all over my body, terrible pains in my joints and on my skin. Huge red lumps would come up, and some of them just erupt.
Before she took thalidomide, we used to spend night after night awake. She used to cry out because of the pain. She used to cry like a child. It was horrific. I didn't know what to do. I put cream on her skin. I gave her painkillers, but nothing would stop the pain. It was cruel.
There were nights after night. She was crying like a child.
I've never seen thalidomide. I look at it every day on one level, but could you show me the pills, please?
And here's the box. I've got some left.
See? So look, there we have. Men can take it. Women can't. I can't read this, but I'm sure it's more of an explanation.
Thalidomide can cause children to be born without arms or legs.
Well, that's a fairly comprehensive explanation. Surprisingly, what I imagine would be an enormous emotional impact. I mean, I'm not going to take it in a hurry, thank you very much. But when we're faced with this kind of level of need, I can't see how anyone can begrudge taking it. And it's become something else to me already. It's become not just the pill that made me like this, but it's become the pill that stops her being in abject misery and pain. But it is pretty fucking weird. According to the government, there are no more thalidomide births in Brazil. Distribution of the drug is now tightly controlled. It's only available at specialist clinics, and any woman of childbearing age who takes it has to have a monthly contraceptive injection. So I went along to a leprosy clinic to see how thalidomide is prescribed. I met Anna there, who had just arrived in great pain with severe leprosy symptoms. She needs thalidomide. Anna is 31.
Where does it hurt? Where's the pain?
When she first contracted leprosy as a teenager, thalidomide was not readily available to her. So she was prescribed powerful steroids, which left her face and body bloated and scarred. These steroid drugs are often used in other countries where thalidomide is not prescribed. Thalidomide too has side effects, particularly numbness and shooting pains in the arms and legs, and these side effects are often irreversible. But when you're in the kind of pain Anna is in, well, it's the main effect you're after. Anna has a thorough examination and is prescribed thalidomide. The dangers of the drug are explained to her. She's told to keep it locked away.
Take one thalidomide pill every evening, okay?
Que se eu tomasse antes, de 17 anos, que eu não ficava assim como eu cheguei. Se eu soubesse ter tomado, eu sabia de todas as coisas. Eu não preferia ter filho, mas eu queria ter meu corpo normal. Não queria mais. Eu não curtia a vida, não curti nada. Não curti. Até eu sou rapaz, os homens que conheci, quando descobri que meu corpo, não vê que meu corpo era assim, não queria eu. Meu corpo estava se desenvolvendo. Aí tudo que fui tomando, eu fui engordando. Os peitos começou a cair, que era tudo duro. 17 anos. Os peitos duros de cabra. Oxi, começou a cair. Que negócio é esse? A barriga começou a crescer. Que parecia uma vela.
It's incredible how fast thalidomide works. Anna was in real pain only a couple of hours ago. Things have changed in Brazil. The medical professions say they have a very responsible attitude to prescribing thalidomide. But I do worry about what might happen when the drug is taken home. So are thalidomide babies still being born? I'm going now to meet someone who believes they are. Claudia Maximino is the president of the Brazilian Thalidomide Society. She's spent years fighting for the compensation rights of the second generation of thalidomide victims in Brazil. So firstly, I think society, certainly Brazilian society, and certainly the thalidomide second generation, owe you a big, big thank you.
Tem sido difícil, mas muito gratificante. E é muito
It's a real struggle, but it's very satisfying work in a way. Trying to help people to get their rights. People who are uneducated and poor. People who are deprived of any opportunity in life.
Why did, in your opinion, the second generation of thalidomide victims happen in Brazil?
Por omissão, por negligência. Por descuido das autoridades.
It was due to negligence. It was due to government carelessness. It was due to the economic power wielded by the laboratories. It was lack of information across the whole society.
Dessas mulheres que tomaram.
The women who took it just didn't know.
Erros médicos.
There were medical mistakes. There were incompetent doctors.
Tantas as causas.
There are many reasons, and they compounded each other.
So are there new thalidomide children still being born here in Brazil then?
Sim? Sim. Eu recebi essa foto, Brenda.
Yes, I received these photos of Brenda. She's 3 years old. She's got short arms. I'm still trying to find out more about her.
E eu ainda estou pesquisando.
She's had an operation because her arms were more curled in. They straightened them. In my opinion, she's got all the characteristics of a thalidomide.
Could I take you there? Could we go together and go and visit Brenda? So the next day we set out on a long journey into the interior. One of the problems for Claudia is just getting to meet thalidomide victims. She doesn't earn a salary, she doesn't work for the government. She's a one-woman band, really. And she only heard about this little girl through her aunt, who lives in the same town as her. Luckily, we were there to offer her a lift, but who knows how many other thalidomide children may be stranded out there. Claudia firmly believes there are more to be found. I was on the tube once, the underground, and I always seem to get, you know, mad people and street types and all sorts sitting next to me. This like out of his head junkie came and sat down next to me, and sitting there, and then he kind of suddenly noticed me, and he went, "Wow, what was that, man? Thalidomide. Heavy drug."
O senhor é? O nome do
Valdeonor.
senhor?
Valdeonor.
Prazer, seu Valdeonor, eu sou Cláudia.
Sim,
Conhecer a Brenda.
Isso.
Batom.
Cláudia.
Posso?
Pode. Ai, que beijo gostoso.
There's a lot at stake here for Brenda's parents. All they earn is £2 a day each cutting sugarcane. If Brenda gets a thalidomide pension, depending on the assessment, she's going to get maybe up to £250 a month. But first, they'll have to prove that Brenda's mother took thalidomide.
Ela começa a tossir e fala, vou levar no médico. Tanta emoção. Por quê? Por que que tá chorando? Não faz isso. Porque você nunca tinha visto assim, deficiente, igual sua filha?
Sabe? Esse povo tudo me ajudando.
E agora, de ajuda, eu queria saber de você como é que foi, se você tomou algum remédio, como é que foi a gravidez.
Na minha gravidez eu tive muito enjoo. Agora eu não lembro se eu tomei algum remédio para enjoo na Santa Casa. Porque quando eu tava grávida, ela também, meu pai tava cana. Então eles falam que pode ser isso também, que eu ficava muito agachada, ela pode ter gerado assim também. Então, mas eu não... Os médicos falam pra mim.
Os médicos?
É.
That's unbelievable. Some doctor told her that bending down to cut sugarcane could cause Brenda to be born with short arms.
Você não tem receita, não tem nada de nada.
So what do you think, Claudia? Thalidomide or not thalidomide?
Ela tem as características, mas fica difícil de você comprovar alguma coisa, porque essas pessoas são muito ignorantes. E, assim, o meu coração diz que pode ter obtido talidomida em algum momento. Meu coração. Só que, para provar, não tem elementos.
There's no record of thalidomide being prescribed. Maybe Brenda's mother picked it up somewhere, but no one can prove it. It's the worst part of Claudia's job, having to tell desperately poor people that they're not going to be able to get compensation.
Mas ela é presente de Deus para você, não é?
Muito.
Porque tem criança aí com perna e braço que não tem a alegria que ela tem. É difícil, né, entender por que essas coisas acontecem na vida da gente.
Por que você tá tão triste, Clay? Você esperava mais de mim, né? Hein? Fica assim. O que você esperava?
Não poder fazer nada é foda, né?
You see, it's ironic, but if you're a proven thalidomide, you're likely to be well off, certainly compared to the millions who struggle against poverty. Were Brenda's parents trying it on? We don't know. But we did hear 2 months later that Brenda's father beat up her mother and left the home. Was he disappointed now that Brenda wasn't going to be bringing in a nice fat thalidomide pension? There's no way of knowing if thalidomide children are still being born. I think it's unlikely, but I just don't know. I was almost at the end of my Brazilian trip. I was ready to go home. I'd just time to meet one more thalidomider, Jacqueline. As it turned out, that meeting was to be the turning point of my trip. Jacqueline lives with her family, parents, 2 sisters and a brother. She has a thalidomide pension. She's one of the lucky ones. And her income supports the whole of the family and her father's drinking habit. Jacqueline was born with short arms and is also deaf. She spends her whole day watching telly. Nobody in the family seems to be able to communicate with her. Why, I wondered. Oi, tudo bem? Aha. Jacqueline. Chama and Matt.
When she was little, she could write numbers from 1 to 100. She did it by herself. I don't know how she learned it. Nobody taught her.
Can I ask why, if she used to write, doesn't she write now? I don't understand.
I don't know why she can't write anymore. Because when she was young, she used to help the other kids with their homework. They used to copy what she wrote. And suddenly she just stopped writing. She didn't want to do it anymore. She was growing up, I guess.
So is she saying it's Jacqueline's fault? I'm not sure about that. She's certainly clever. She learnt to play chess a couple of years ago and came second in a regional championship. I thought I'd try my luck. I quickly sensed that she was several moves ahead of me. Georges, Jacqueline's father, wanted to know what was going on. High stakes. Oh, I don't believe that. Look at you, gloater. Can't move here? No. Can't move here? No. Can't move here? Brazil very lucky there. God, this is so difficult to communicate. Smiling's easy, but it's really difficult to communicate. Frustrating, probably more so for Jacqueline than me. No, absolutely don't know where to go. Do you dance? Do you dance? I am trying. English bloke shows Brazilian how to dance. Not. Samba. You dance? No? Okay. You see now, I'm more inclined to think that she thinks I said, "Do you want to dance with me?" Well, she quite rightfully said no. But I reckon she probably, I don't know. I don't know. But at any rate, I shouldn't be talking about you in front of you. You can make observations to camera, to you, the audience, but this feels totally wrong. I'm not used. I know a lot of deaf people, but I don't know any of it are locked inside a. It's really frustrating not being able to talk to Jacqueline. How do you cope?
I can't stay here. I've got to cook. I don't know what to ask her.
Yeah. You're her mother. Surely you've found some way of talking to her.
This is... Do you want to take a shower?
What's this?
Depois.
What's this?
Toma banho. Depois.
Afterwards.
Couldn't some of her pension money be spent on getting her to learn the language of letters? Because otherwise she's going to be sitting here watching the television for the rest of her life, and that's really sad, don't you think?
Pode sim, pode sim, eu vou.
Yes, I'm going to get computer lessons for her. I want to get a computer for her. She's been asking me for a while, but Jacqueline is quite lazy. She starts doing things and then complains because she's too tired. One day she wants to do something, the next day she doesn't. It's really difficult to organize things for her.
Então fica difícil assim também, né?
I don't accept that. But don't translate that. I think it's you, actually. I just think it's outrageous. I think it's criminally negligent, you know. And it's nothing I can do about it. I tell you what, right, I feel so choked. Not like, oh, I'm choking, but so choked and stuck and oppressed that I want to bust heads, and I've only been here for a day and a half. I'm going to come back tomorrow to speak to Georges, Jacqueline's dad. Apparently he's building a swimming pool on the roof of the house. Anyway, back to town. I'd had enough for a bit. I wanted a night off, a bit of light relief. Maybe a bit of traditional Brazilian music, some samba or perhaps some bossa nova. It's not the girl from Ipanema. But you know what? It's just what the doctor prescribed. I'm in the mood now to talk to Jacqueline's dad.
I can't hang around today. I'm too busy. I'm in the kitchen.
Okay, maybe I can talk to George.
George, the man wants to speak to you.
Hey, George. I was hoping you could show me the swimming pool plans.
Não, mas eu tô esperando isso não. Eu não tô muito aí porque eu tô me sentindo um pouco legal. A barriga tá meio derrubada. Por isso que eu tô lá dentro.
Listen to that. Yeah. Okay. Can you swim, George? How about Jacqueline? Okay. Perhaps Jacqueline could be Jane.
Yeah, Jacqueline. No.
Why? Okay, I can swim.
Eu nado.
Why can't you teach her to swim?
Mas não é questão de aprender, não. É questão de ela ter medo. A mãe só era mais sua mãe.
Well, everyone's afraid before they learn that, but you can teach her.
She's out with her mother, you know. É, só é mais sua mãe. A mãe também não sabe nadar. Her mother doesn't know how to swim either. Só eu mesmo.
But a whole family can learn to swim with their own swimming pool.
Sou eu que sou expert, né?
I'm the expert, yeah?
Yeah, maybe the expert could teach the rest of the family to swim, yeah, with their own swimming pool. It would be easy, wouldn't it?
Então, se você é o experto...
Deveria ensinar a família, mas não tem tempo, não tem tempo. A mãe não deu.
You haven't got the time.
My mother's let me anyway. Heredity there. She's a bit difficult.
Okay.
Daqui a pouco começa.
Oh, the bullshit motherfucker. Yeah, off you go, mate. Go and shit your wad. Perhaps you'll talk sense afterwards. So, as usual, Jacqueline spent the rest of the day and the night watching television. Hi, can I have a few words? I wanted to talk to Georges, but he wouldn't come out.
He's sleeping.
Right. Probably can't wake him up then.
É difícil acordar ele, então?
Again, if you're actually going to do the interview with him... Oh, if I was going to do the interview now, I'd say, so what exactly is it that you do with your time that you haven't got to teach Jacqueline to swim? What do you... Seeing as you spend a serious proportion of the money that Jacqueline's pension earns, why don't you work? I'm too old. Oh, that's 43. That's 2 years older than me. I intend to work for the next 25 years. What's your excuse? You know, this happened a lot in Britain. I don't want to say, you know, oh, the third world, it's awful. But, you know, this happened a lot in Britain back in the day, you know, 25 years ago when we were all 19, 20. There were a few parents that spunked all the money as well. And, you know, it was a different kind of thing, but it happens everywhere, occasionally. I know Claudia's really pissed off about this sort of thing here, and quite rightly. It's wrong. It's our money. It's meant for our future. Surprisingly, Jacqueline's life did improve a couple of months later. One night, she, together with her mother, brother and sisters, did a moonlight flit, leaving Georges alone in the house built with Jacqueline's money. They now live in another part of Brazil. So back to Britain, where thalidomide is making an astonishing comeback. The drug that was shunned for years by the medical establishment is emerging from the shadows once more. It's not just leprosy in the developing world, but a whole range of diseases that thalidomide might be able to help. There are new research projects springing up all over for rheumatoid arthritis, MS, lupus, Crohn's disease, and various cancers. It's being trialled for lung cancer, and around the world 1 million people a year get that. So there might yet be gold in them there pills for the drug companies. I'm going to meet Dr. Lee, who runs the lung cancer trial at the University College Hospital in London.
I think it is possible. We may be able to convert cancer to be what I call a chronic disease, where patients just take something and they can live with the cancer, and instead of the cancer taking over their body. I think that's a very interesting concept, and it'd be nice. But nevertheless, we have to find a drug that works. And at the moment, the drug we think that's how it works is thalidomide. So I think maybe that will provide us a platform to move the research forward.
I'm just thinking of my father, who died of pancreatic cancer in 1984, and I'm trying to imagine what he would have thought as the parent of a classic thalidomide baby, if somebody had said you could take thalidomide. I suppose I'm just trying to make sense of the fact that something that has so much, as it were, tragedy attached to it is, as far as I'm seeing at the moment, potentially got quite another attachment for the future. Elizabeth Clear has been diagnosed with lung cancer. She's had chemotherapy and has also been taking thalidomide.
How do you find the thalidomide treatment so far?
It's the side effects bother me a bit, that's all.
Okay. Have you any improvement so far?
Not really.
You still get the dizziness?
I've got the dizziness in my head and my 2 feet are numb.
Okay. The important thing is that so far things are looking extremely good.
You know, I'm still worried about all those side effects, the dizziness and numb feet, but I suppose you don't worry too much about those if maybe the drug is keeping you alive. Elizabeth, what did you think when they said 3 years ago you might be able to take thalidomide? Didn't it freak you out a bit?
I did a bit because I've got a son that age.
Right.
You know, when the thalidomide was out, it really did freak me out. But I had no hesitation about taking it.
Why?
Because I thought, well, if it's going to do some good, I might as well give it a go, you know.
Were you in a pretty sorry state at the time then?
Yeah, I was, but it was a big shock, you know. I couldn't believe it.
I bet. And how do you feel now after 3 years?
Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am getting on. I mean, I'm out every day.
Yeah. Would you say, if it proves in the trials that thalidomide is of benefit to people with tumours, would you say it was a good idea, do you think?
Yeah, it would do, definitely. If it, you know, proved that.
James Herbert is another of Dr. Lee's patients. James has been suffering from cancer of the lymph system, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. He was told there was nothing more the doctors could do for him, and then he was offered thalidomide.
The consultant really said there's only one thing left, and that was the thalidomide trial. And we went on that about 10 months ago, and that has been fantastic. Within days, I would say, my pain had disappeared. I stopped taking all the painkillers that I was on, which were sleeping pills, morphine, 2 or 3 different painkillers. So very rapidly, I saw the benefits and I felt the benefits of thalidomide, which was amazing. And this was corroborated a few months later when another scan at the hospital showed that the tumour had actually reduced in size. So, wow, you know.
I suppose then the potential implications of that are quite profound. I mean, you know, the holy grail of the cure for cancer sort of rears its head at this point, doesn't it?
There's something in the drug that's promising for the future, even if not in its present form. It's made such a difference.
Whether it will lead to further advances using a similar technique, not sure, but I think it's a miracle drug.
Miracle or not, thalidomide certainly seems to be working for James. But it is hard for me to see it that way.
I almost feel guilty that I find it so difficult to accept thalidomide as a wonder drug. It certainly works for leprosy, and it looks like it might work for cancer. Great, good luck to them. But thalidomide is the drug of the future. I don't know. I do worry that they're not taking the side effects seriously enough, and worry even more about the rush for profit. That was the problem the first time round. So if you new guys who are licensing and prescribing it make the same profit-hungry mistakes, my thalidomide generation are watching you. This time you won't get away with an out-of-court settlement. This time you know what's at stake, and you have to get it right. Happy birthday, thalidomide.